Ooh, it's taking a second. Okay, it didn't give me the countdown. Hey guys, it's Misha. We're going to talk about mental health and insulin resistance again today. I have it's crazy to me. The 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 most searched for health disorder or health concern that people looked up yesterday was mental health issues. So there are so many more people in the world today who are concerned with it. And I want to give you some links to insulin resistance with a number of, we're going to talk about 12 different mental health disorders, and I'm going to link them to insulin resistance. I want to be really careful here. I am not telling you that this is going to be a cure. I am not telling you that insulin resistance absolutely causes it. I want to show you how insulin resistance is causing a lot of the symptoms and things to get worse, and it may be causing those issues. I'm not a doctor. I am not a scientist. I am not a nutritionist. I'm a real world woman who has a nerdy brain and likes to figure this stuff out and then bring it to you guys, because I know not everybody else wants to sit down and look at all the stuff, the hours that I've just spent looking up all this. There's a list of 12 things on this live right now. So insulin resistance impacts every one of those things. We're going to dive into how, but it's a lot of information. So this is going to be part 1 of 2. We're going to talk about the first 6 things today, and then we'll talk about the other 6 tomorrow. Along the way, I'm going to talk about the disorder just briefly. I'm going to talk about how insulin resistance is linked to it. And then I'm going to talk about the science that's linking it. And then we're going to give you a solution that can help you. I am not telling anybody to stop doing anything that your mental health professional is telling you to do. I'm opening up other avenues for you to maybe help get it under control. And I want to be really, really clear about that. It's crazy. I posted a TikTok video this morning, and it was my own journey of how I overcame my hypertension with the protocol that I'm going to talk about. And guess what? It got throttled. It got removed. I got a community violations guideline thing. And it's really ridiculous because all I did was share my story and talk about how I'm off of 13 medications and that nothing helped my blood pressure until this protocol did. So I want to be really careful and let you guys know that we're not talking about anything that's going to solve all of the problems, but it sure can help things get better. So let's dive in. So again, for those of you just joining, mental health issues were the most searched health topic on the internet yesterday. The most searched health topic. There are a number of people suffering. Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to hide it and feel like they're incomplete and something's wrong. And what I'm here for is to help you understand that you're being set up for a lot of these mental health issues because of the food environment we live in. On that, but on 2 BP meds. So I was on dual therapy for blood pressure too. Hang out with me. We're going to talk about these mental health issues today. Now look, I have autism. I have ADHD. I had mood swings. I was so fatigued and tired, chronic fatigue, all of a number of the things, not bipolar, schizophrenia, any of that, but I've had a number of the things on that list. And I remember the first time I walked into a doctor's office because I was being gaslit by my partner. And so if this is you guys, you don't have to tell me, just give me some heart so that I know anybody else is going through this. But my partner, my family were gaslighting me about my mental health disorder. And I thought that I was broken. I thought that I just didn't try enough. I didn't care enough. I didn't whatever enough. And it was devastating to me because I was struggling inside and I couldn't figure it out. I did all the affirmations and all the positive stuff and nothing was getting better for me. I walked into a medical professional's office and she said, there's a chemical imbalance going on and that's why you feel this way. Nothing that you do consciously is going to change that as far as affirmations until you understand that there's this chemical imbalance. Now, most healthcare professionals are taught to give you a drug, right, to fix it. What I want to talk about today is how you can affect it tremendously by understanding insulin resistance and getting your insulin resistance under control. So if you're struggling with any of the things on the list, just hang out. So it's clear that most of us are struggling, whether it's depression, anxiety, mood swings, or a whole host of other issues. So if you're watching, you might be wondering if you're alone in feeling this way. I know I was. I felt like I was the broken duck in the middle of I was the black sheep in the middle of a white sheep farm or whatever. I just felt like I was the odd one out and that there was something wrong with me, right? And it wasn't. It was what I was getting fed for food. And I want you guys to understand that the way your body responds to your food is what's causing insulin resistance, and that is affecting your mental health. We talked about it last week. I'm going to talk about it again today because it's so important. All right. So if you're tired of dealing with constant fatigue, irritability, or just feeling like you're running on empty, hang out. Maybe you're looking for ways to manage your mental health better without relying on endless traditional treatments that don't seem to be getting to the root of the problem or making it better. In fact, maybe you're having to take more and more of those treatments or switch them because they stop working after a time. Wouldn't it be great if we could look down and see where the root of all of this might be starting from? Okay. Now, everything that I'm going to bring you is rooted in science. It's not just me saying stuff, and I'm going to bring in the science pieces in a little bit. But I want to be clear that insulin resistance doesn't cause a number of these issues, but it sure is strongly linked to most of them. And understanding that connection can help you start to feel better. And that's the point, is we don't all need to feel so broken and so defunct. We need ways, realistic ways to start feeling better. And most of us feel like we're not getting those answers. That's why I'm here, because that's how I felt. And I want to share this with everybody so you don't have to feel that same way. So if you're ready for change, stick with me. We're going to dive in just about now, but I'm going to read through the list. So, and this is a short list. I'm sure there are many other things, but man, I can't talk about them all. So depression, anxiety, cognitive decline, dementia, Alzheimer's, mood swings and irritability, tightly linked to cognitive decline, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia. I've never really talked about those before, and I'm not going to go in depth, but I want you to know that there is a link between how you're functioning with those two disorders and insulin resistance, and that's important. If you know someone in your family, I had someone in my family who was diagnosed with schizophrenia. I have someone in my family currently who has a family history of bipolar. This is important information. So attention deficit disorder, that's me. Sleep disorders, that was me. Chronic fatigue syndrome, that was me. Autism spectrum disorder, that is me. Eating disorders, that was me. Post-traumatic stress syndrome, that is me. So a number of these things are not just affecting me, they're affecting all of you guys too. And give me some hearts if you feel like you just can't talk to anybody about it. And maybe your medical professional isn't helping you understand and you're just frustrated because you're not feeling better, right? You're just not getting the help you need. Let's dive in. We're going to go over the first 6 today. And that will include the bipolar and schizophrenia. And then we'll pick back up with ADHD, autism tomorrow. But right now, I'm going to start with depression. Okay. And again, this isn't going to be as in-depth as I normally go to because this is a huge topic. But when you're dealing with depression, it can often feel like you're stuck in this dark cloud that just never lifts. And that's how I felt. Laid on the couch, like the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I just couldn't even move because I was so wrapped up in this dark cloud. Okay. So what you might not realize is that insulin resistance can be playing a big role in why you're feeling that dark cloud or that weight on you. It's high blood sugar levels and your metabolic health. Now, those two things can wreak havoc on your brain's chemistry. When your body's insulin resistance is high, now I'm going to pause because some of you haven't seen me before, but insulin is a hormone that's carrying energy to the cells of the body, and insulin resistance means that insulin cannot deliver the energy to those cells. We oftentimes think of it in the body, but it's happening in the brain at the same time it's happening in the body. Okay, so when your body's insulin resistance high, you're not getting energy into all the cells like they should. Your brain is being disrupted. The neurotransmitters in your brain function, and the inflammation in your brain that insulin resistance causes starts to directly impact your mood, and that can lead to depression. So Those of you who are suffering with depression and have had family members who say, you just have a negative outlook, you just don't try well enough, you just don't do enough positive affirmations. And guys, I believe in all of those. I do those anyway. But if you're doing all those and you're not feeling better and you're like I was, where I laid in bed and cried, and you guys, I would never exit this world willingly as far as by my own hand, but I sure laid in bed and cried and prayed to God that I just wouldn't wake up in the morning because I was done. My depression was so deep and I wasn't getting answers for it. And the crazy thing was the protocol I'm going to talk about in just a second helped me when nothing else was. I don't have those nights anymore. I'm not laying in bed crying and wailing and suffering with depression or lying on the couch in depression anymore. Now I know the simple answer is it's a link to insulin resistance, the way there's inflammation, not enough energy, and those nerve endings are not, and the neurotransmitters are not functioning properly in your brain. When all of that's happening, serotonin, dopamine, cortisol, all of the hormones that affect your brain are dysfunctioning. Are you wondering why you're depressed? So look, studies show that insulin resistance is linked to higher rates of depression, as visceral fat, which is also cued by insulin resistance. And visceral fat is the fat in and around your muscle wall under your tummy. It's brown fat. Insulin resistance cues more visceral fat to be built than we should have. So as that fat builds up around your body, it contributes to that inflammation in your brain. And that's important. That inflammation is causing a number of the disorders that we're going to talk about. So that inflammation worsens your feelings of being overwhelmed or stuck. And the more we allow the metabolic issue to persist, insulin resistance, the deeper the emotional effects become, impacting everything from your mood to your energy levels. Okay, that's depression. Has anybody ever heard that depression is likely insulin resistance, and that is not just about the food you're choosing to put in the mouth, but the food that you're being given and the food that you're being sold, and that it's imperfect and improper, and we're just not getting the nutrients, and we're getting higher blood sugar spikes than ever because of the way our food is designed, whether it's bagged, box barcoded, or whether it's organic. Our food is different than it was 50 to 60 years ago. There's a lot behind this, but that's part of why we're having all of these mental health problems that we have today. So the protocol, and I'm going to talk about the protocol at the end of each section because people are like, well, how could this help me? How is this tea and this pre-meal drink going to help my depression? How's it going to help my anxiety? How's it going to help somebody with bipolar or schizophrenia? By addressing insulin resistance and the nutrition that's in there, it can absolutely help you feel better. Let's go over it. So when we talk about this and getting your metabolic system back on track, this is what's happening. I drink a tea every morning. I actually have them both mixed up, and I split it today because I added some matcha to mine. So I have the 2 mugs and one is almost gone. I just sip on this throughout the day. Now what's happening when I drink the tea is this. It helps by regulating my blood sugar. I'm in a fasted state. By the way, I am going to fast all day today. So I'm in a fasted state. It helps keep my blood sugars low. It's helping my growth hormone produce at higher rates. It's helping me produce ketones, which now the brain is getting a type of energy that it can actually utilize even in an insulin resistant state. But you have to get the insulin down to get the body to produce ketones that your brain can use and get off the sugar all the time. Okay, so the tea's helping me with that sugar sensitivity, helping me with those ketones, helping boost all of that. But it also has things like chlorogenic acids, mate saponins, and theobromine. Now, here's the thing. Theobromine is the component in dark chocolate that makes you feel good, that makes you have that ooh-ah feeling. And there's 3 times the theobromine in this as in the highest quality dark chocolate. I've seen so many doctors talking about mental health and metabolic health, and one of the best things you can do is dark chocolate. That's because of the theobromine in it, and that's highly present in this tea. Okay, so it's working to help keep your blood sugar lower, help keep your insulin lower, and when you start to low that blood sugar spike, your brain chemistry starts to shift back to a normal state. And now, like in a fasted state like I am, it's using those ketones for energy. It's getting the energy it needs. Stuff starts to function better. Okay. So you're feeling more calm and more stable. How many I've heard this so many times, especially from my daughter-in-law, that you get hangry when you fast. And we're going to go over mood swings in just a little bit, but that's just the T. It's a multifaceted approach. But and I want to be clear, this protocol was created to address metabolic issues. It's not created to address mental health issues. I'm just finding all the ways that your metabolism is affecting all these other things, including your mental health. So the pre-meal drink is a number of fibers, some phytosterols, vitamins, and minerals. Now, it's not just about digestion, because I said fiber, right? So you guys are like, oh, it's digestion. It's not just about digestion. It's about supporting your overall metabolic health. And this fiber-packed drink, 7 different fibers, soluble and insoluble, help slow down the absorption of blood sugar into your bloodstream. You remember we were saying blood sugar is the root of the problem with depression. Now, that gives your body a fighting chance to stabilize insulin, allow your cells to start getting that energy that it needs so much back into the cells, and starts to reduce depression by reducing the sugar load in your cells and allowing your body to take up energy like it should. Okay. So I love analogies, you guys. We're going to do this. I want you to think about depression and the protocol like this. Think of your body like a car. When the engine is running too hot, thanks to all the inflammation that sugar and insulin resistance is causing in your brain just can't perform well. The car doesn't run well. You start to notice the struggles, lack of energy, difficulty focusing, and feeling down and depressed all the time. But when you start adding the right fuel back into the car, like the tea, to cool the engine down, and the pre-meal drink, which is optimizing the fuel, it's like giving your car the proper tune-up and getting it back into smooth running condition. That's basically what's happening when you're doing this protocol and it's affecting your mental health. Okay. So let's talk about anxiety and insulin resistance, because anxiety is something that I cannot tell you how many people talk to me about consistently. Even within my own family, it feels like I hear about anxiety more than I have ever heard about it in my life. So let's take a look at how anxiety is related to insulin resistance. You guys ask questions. Let me know if you like this, because this is important. If it was the most searched thing on the internet, you guys need answers. Okay. So anxiety. If you have anxiety, that can feel like this constant buzzing in the back of your head, and it's just uncomfortable. And it's frustrating. And the unease that you can't quite shake off because of anxiety makes your whole life just feel out of whack. So if you're struggling with insulin resistance, this could be contributing to anxiety. And remember, I just want to say 99% of us have an insulin disorder, meaning insulin resistance of some level in 99% of us. So what's happening is those fluctuating blood sugar levels that you're experiencing that come with insulin resistance can lead to mood swings and anxiety, but there are also those fluctuating sugar levels are causing your body to feel like it's on a roller coaster. So causing you to have intense feelings of anxiety, and it's not stopping there. If you're trying to address insulin resistance, you need to understand that insulin resistance itself keeps your body in a heightened state, stuck in fight or flight. So insulin resistance is rising your cortisol a little bit. And instead of just having like, oh, the bad guy's coming after me, or the lion's chasing me down, or I'm in the woods and there's a bear around the corner, North Idaho girl, and we got to get up and run, which gets the blood pumping, which gets the heart moving faster, which just creates all of this gotta go in our body. Insulin resistance is creating that at a slighter level, but all the time. Instead of it being in bursts when we got to get up and go, it's happening to you all the time. And now you're wondering, between the brain and this production of cortisol, why you're feeling anxiety all the time. And insulin resistance is at the root of most all of that, and the blood sugar dysregulation. And we're going to talk about mood swings in a minute. So What science is telling us with this one is that science studies have been showing that insulin resistance disrupts the normal function of the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the HPA axis. And this system, the HPA axis, controls the release of stress hormones like cortisol. So when the HPA axis is overstimulated by high blood sugar and the stresses that come along with insulin resistance, your body becomes overloaded with cortisol, making it even worse. And it's like your internal stress response is in overdrive, constantly on alert. That makes sense? That's what science is telling us. The HPA axis is out of whack and we have way too much cortisol in our body, and it started with insulin resistance and fluctuating blood sugars. Okay, it's a problem for almost all of us right now. So this is where the protocol leads in with that as well. So the tea does more than just stabilize your blood sugar. We talked about that just a minute ago. It works by calming your body's internal chaos. Remember that theobromine in there and chlorogenic acids, and even some mate saponins help with brain health. Okay, so it's doing more than just stabilizing your blood sugar. Now, by reducing your blood sugar spikes and crashes, it's helping you regulate that stress hormone of cortisol, and that allows your system to stop triggering that constant fight or flight mode. So isn't it crazy that something with a little bit of stimulant like some caffeine in it can actually reduce that cortisol level, that fight or flight that we're in all the time, because of the other components like chlorogenic acids and theobromine in it, helping soothe your brain, soothe your anxiety, soothe your nerves. Okay, so it's giving you focus and energy without anxiety that comes with the sugar instability and that comes with most caffeine products. Okay, so that it also is increasing. You guys have all been hearing about GLP-1, but you've been hearing about it in the form of medications. Now, GLP-1 levels can be increased naturally in your own body by up to 70% with this tea. The GLP-1 further promotes a balanced state of mind, helping you feel more at ease and in control. GLP-1 isn't just affecting your weight. It's not just peel all the weight off. It's helping you feel satiated in your gut and in your brain. It's helping support your brain. So chlorogenic acids, mate saponins, the GLP-1 production that comes because of all of that is creating better brain health, reducing depression and anxiety. So let's think about this one like this. I say so a lot. I realized that as I was reviewing some videos. I want you to think about your body like a thermostat in your home. Hey, Jason. So when the thermostat is constantly fluctuating, adjusting to extremes, right? The house is too cold one minute, too hot the next minute. It's like your blood sugar spikes. It keeps the system in an anxious, high energy state, trying to cool things down or heat them up. But when you have the protocol, like the tea and the balance or the pre-meal drink, to bring that heat down, the tea brings the heat down, the balance, the pre-meal drink keeps the system steady. So it's like getting the thermostat set to a comfortable temperature and allowing your body to relax and find its balance again. Instead of going, oh, it's too hot. Oh, it's too cold. Oh my gosh, we need the fan on. Oh, shut that fan off. Your body is now stabilizing. The tea and the pre-meal drink are helping your body do that. That's helping reduce that anxiety. Now, cognitive decline and insulin resistance, or Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is now being called type 3 diabetes because it's so tightly linked to insulin resistance. And Alzheimer's is the number one form of dementia. And you guys, it breaks my heart when I see people whose loved ones have Alzheimer's. And like I just watched a video last night, came up in my feed about a young girl whose mother didn't recognize her, and her mother said, I don't have a child, I don't have a child. And they did some memory stimulation, pictures and whatnot. And the mother finally started kind of remembering. And then she was able to look at her daughter and say, oh, I do have a daughter. You're my daughter. Can you imagine the mom not knowing that she had a beautiful daughter that loved and supported her, or being the daughter who couldn't feel like she had a real relationship with her mom, but still loved her? And then add on top of that, that Alzheimer's does not have to be happening at the rate that it's happening because it's all linked to insulin resistance and blood sugar dysregulation in your body. Nobody's addressing it. Why do we have so many elderly people sitting with Alzheimer's and their brain function aging and declining? Because nobody's addressing the real root cause of Alzheimer's until recently. So if you know somebody with Alzheimer's or looks like they're going that way, please, please listen to this. And please, please come back, share this out with them, let them watch it later. But I'm going to give you guys another little cue. Biden and his ice cream. Okay, I'm not a political one, but that made me laugh. That made me laugh because I just had a vision of, yeah, him stumbling around eating his ice cream. Okay. So, yeah, wouldn't that be crazy if they like knew that taking away some of that sugar and actually getting his gut to function properly, he might have some brain function back? Ooh, that's a scary thought, right? Okay. So, cognitive decline is going like this. If you've ever experienced moments where you can't seem to remember things like you used to. And I was suffering from this heavily 4 years ago. I laid in bed crying partly because my brain function was gone. And for somebody who prides herself on her mental acuity, that was devastating for me to be in that state. I couldn't remember names. I couldn't remember facts. I couldn't remember much of anything. And I stumbled through life, and my son was worried about me. But if you just can't remember or focus on things like you used to, it's frustrating. And it's a growing reality for many of us. Dr. Joe Esposito. I will go check that out. Let me write that down. Thank you. I'll check him out. I like to learn from a variety of places and then kind of piece together what feels right or what I know is happening. Okay, so if you're dealing with insulin resistance, it could be playing a role in that cognitive decline. Now remember, insulin is essential for brain function. Our brains need the glucose to operate. It's our number one source of energy for our brain. But with insulin resistance, we can't get that energy into the brain. Okay? So when it comes to memory and cognitive clarity, that's really important. If your brain just doesn't have the fuel it needs, the energy it needs, it cannot function and everything starts to kind of short circuit up there. And now we have a problem. So when insulin resistance kicks in, I'm checking the other source, the other places I'm on live too, you guys. So when that kicks in, your brain's ability to use insulin effectively really goes down. And it goes down, starts to go down really quickly. Now, that can cause mental fog and memory issues, and over time increase your risk of developing Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. So a little caveat for you guys, or a little hint for you guys. I heard this a while back from a neurologist. If you're worried about this, or if you're worried about someone in your life that may be suffering with or about to head into Alzheimer's, one of the first clues that you might be suffering with Alzheimer's or about to be having real issues with it is if you can no longer park straight. So if you're with someone and they cannot seem to get their car straight and it's always parked crooked in a parking spot and they swear that it's straight, that's a cue that they're starting to suffer with something called Alzheimer's. And if you love them, address it now. That's a first cue. Now, I don't know how many of you guys knew that, but it was shocking to me that that was a cue because I was having problems parking my car straight when I started the protocol. Okay, so here's the science part, okay? Alzheimer's disease has earned the nickname type 3 diabetes because of the similarities between the brain's resistance to insulin and the rest of the body. Remember, your brain, people don't realize your brain becomes insulin resistant at the same time your body does. If you're experiencing insulin resistance symptoms in your body, know that it's already happening in your brain. It's not like there's like this big divide between your brain and your body. There kind of is, and it's called the blood-brain barrier. But if you're having insulin resistance in your body, it's happening in your brain at the same time. So the tea, you guys, you can get it in my profile. Just tap on my picture up above. And when the white box comes up below on TikTok, tap on that. The first link is going to get you to my landing page. And that's where you'll be able to take a look at the tea and some of the information about what it is and the protocol, how much it costs, all of that. And you can decide whether you want to have more conversation with me or whether you just want to purchase. But I don't, you guys, I want you to feel like this is right for you. And that's why I give you information, because most people don't understand how much insulin resistance is affecting your life and the life of your loved ones. That's why I bring all this information. So, um, understand that that's happening. Now, again, back to the science. Studies show that insulin resistance can lead to impaired brain function, which is linked directly to cognitive decline, dementia, Alzheimer's. Okay. High blood glucose levels make the situation even worse. And that whole situation is accelerating the process of brain aging. Now, your brain needs insulin to properly function. When it's not getting enough energy because the insulin can't function, it becomes harder for you to retain memories, to think clearly, to stay sharp. And ladies, this happens more quickly with us. And there's a whole array of other reasons, our hormones, other enzymes that we break down and retain easier than men do, but it happens more rapidly with women, especially starting at about the age of 50. Women's cognitive decline will worsen much more quickly than men. And so in relationships where men have felt like, ooh, I have this really smart wife and she takes care of all of this stuff, all of a sudden it switches and she can't answer things. She can't find things. She doesn't know. She doesn't remember your neighbor's name. And the man starts to get frustrated because the woman he knew all of his life is now very different. And it all started most likely with a blood sugar dysregulation and insulin resistance. So if you're experiencing this in your relationships, know that if you get the sugar under control, if you get the insulin under control, that can start to get much better for you. Okay. So tons of messages coming in, you guys. The tea. The tea goes beyond just stabilizing your blood sugar. By improving your insulin sensitivity, it's helping your brain get the insulin or the energy. Insulin is the delivery system it needs to function optimally. So you're no longer having those gaps in memory, those I can't remember my name. I can't remember that I had a kid. I can't remember my kids' birthdays. I can't remember where I parked my car. So as your blood sugar stabilizes, you'll notice better cognitive clarity, improved memory, and sharper focus. Now, with the added benefits of chlorogenic acid, theobromine, and mate saponins in the tea, it helps to protect your brain function while supporting your mental energy and your overall well-being. And remember, we talked about GLP-1 just a minute ago. So that GLP-1 being increased naturally in your body enhances cognitive function and promotes feelings of fullness. So now it's working directly and indirectly, because what's happening is we're eating too much. We're very sugar driven, and sugar creates more need for more sugar. The tea is helping soothe all of that down, so you're not as hungry for it. And that's allowing your brain to function. It's allowing that ketones to get to your brain. You can get the tea in my link right up above. So just tap on the link on my profile. Right under the red lights in my profile, you'll see the link tree link. Click on that. The very first option in my landing page is about the protocol. Okay, so go there. Make sure that you're getting it from someone authorized like me, because there are 3 different guarantees: a 90-day money back guarantee, a quality guarantee, and I can't remember the other one because I don't talk about it enough. But if you want to make sure that if you're going to give this a shot, give it a shot for 90 days. If it's not helping, you get your money back. I don't know of any other product, traditional therapy, that gives you that kind of guarantee, but you also get coaching by me when you use my link and not just some rando. By the way, Amazon, eBay, Walmart, you don't get any of that because they're not authorized sellers. And so we don't even know if you're getting the right product, because we found pirated product, expired product, all of that. Now, that's the tea, right? So it's helping promote feelings of fullness. It's helping your brain function. And then we add in the pre-meal drink. And here's what's happening with that. They work synergistically together. So it's giving you more than just those 7 different types of fiber. It's a powerful, powerful tool for your brain health. I want you guys to remember there's a gut-brain axis. The gut and the brain are communicating all the time. If the gut's out of whack and inflamed, it's sending the wrong signals to the brain, and more inflammation is getting in the brain, and you're just having more problems. This gut brain axis is real. Take care of your gut to take care of your brain. That's really, really important. So, what the pre meal drink is doing is it's giving you 7 different fibers that are aimed to keep your gut healthy and address blood sugar levels. So, where the tea is helping you with insulin sensitivity, helping you utilize energy, the pre-meal drink is helping slow down the delivery of sugar into your system. So now you're not getting the blood sugar spikes and drops from insulin resistance. You're not getting a high level of insulin. In fact, it can reduce a blood sugar spike by up to 40% with a high carbohydrate meal. That means your brain is not going to be suffering from all those spikes and all the excess insulin, along with some intermittent fasting. These two things work really well together. So the stabilization of your blood sugar helps prevent the spikes and the crashes that are giving you cognitive decline, and that supports more consistent mental clarity and focus. And it also promotes healthier metabolic function and gut function, which is crucial for preventing the breakdown of cognitive processes and the development of Alzheimer's. So the analogy for this one, I want you guys to think about this. Thanks, you guys, for all the love, the likes, everything, all your interactions. So I want you to think about your brain with this one like a computer. When the system is overloaded with data, not enough processing power because of insulin resistance is available to you. So it starts to slow down, and files like your memories become harder to access. Okay. So when you optimize your system by using the tea and the pre-meal drink, the tea enhances your processing power and the pre-meal drink helps keep things running smoothly. It's like clearing up space on your hard drive and giving your computer a speed boost, allowing you to think faster and remember more clearly. And you got to understand that Alzheimer's is directly now linked to insulin resistance. They used to talk about plaques and tangles, and I talk about those a little bit, but they're now saying, yeah, that's probably not the issue. We were probably wrong, and it's insulin resistance. I've heard more and more doctors come out and talk about that. And both of the pieces of the protocol are directly affecting insulin resistance, but how they're indirectly affecting the brain is in those ways by addressing your sugar issues, giving you components that help you feel good and more stable. All right. So, mood swings and insulin resistance. And then we're going to talk about bipolar and schizophrenia. I'll come back tomorrow to talk about the other 6 things on the list because this is a long, long talk. Okay, so this is part 1 of 2 for those of you who are just joining. We're talking about mental health and insulin resistance and how insulin resistance is causing or contributing to a lot of these mental health disorders directly or indirectly. Okay, so if you've ever found yourself feeling like you're perfectly fine one moment, happy, go lucky, all of that, only the next moment for something to happen and you get hit with a wave of irritability or mood swings, then insulin resistance is probably behind those emotional roller coasters. And this is what's happening. When your blood sugar levels fluctuate, rising and falling, rising and falling, rising and crashing, your mood is often the first to take a hit. Okay. You don't know what's happening. You feel really great one minute. All of a sudden, your blood sugar crashes and your mood goes downhill. And you're like, what the hell? I was just feeling fine and happy. And what happened to me? Right. So that's what's happening when your blood sugar is out of control. Now, I'm going to stop for a second. When you have a high level of insulin, the higher you spike your blood sugar, the higher you spike the hormone insulin, because insulin is the transporter, remember. But while blood sugar will come down quickly, insulin stays high. So why you're getting these blood sugar spikes and crashes is because you've eaten something with sugar that spikes your sugar and spikes your insulin. Now, insulin in an insulin resistant person is overactive and it's doing its job trying to dump all of that sugar out of the bloodstream. So now you go from having a high level of energy to no energy because insulin shoved it all out into whatever space will take it, including your fat cells. And you have this roller coaster of blood sugar spikes and lows And flowing along with that are your emotions that are going high and low. And it's a problem. And I see it more and more today than I've ever seen it in my life. Okay. So it's just triggering a rush of energy. But when it crashes, because insulin did its job pushing it all out, you're left feeling fatigued, irritable, and emotionally drained. Those constant swings that lead to difficulty in your life are really rooted in insulin resistance and high unregulated blood sugars. Okay. So it makes it harder for you to stay calm and collected throughout the day. Now, again, there's research behind all of this blood sugar high and low and how it's affecting your mood. Um, but this now, again, the protocol, this is how this is helping you. So again, the tea, it's a two-part system, a tea and a pre-meal drink. So the tea is working to stabilize your blood sugar levels. Okay. It's helping your insulin work more effectively. And that helps prevent those emotional dips and blood sugar fluctuations. Now, when your blood sugar's steady, you're less likely to experience irritability or mood swings and more likely to feel centered, to feel calm and at ease throughout the day. And then we start to add in the benefits of things like the chlorogenic acids, the theobromine, and the mate saponins. Now we're giving your body, your brain support with both the physical and emotional balance, allowing you to stay grounded no matter what life throws at you. So now your blood sugars aren't spiking. Now you're getting the nutritional support you need for your brain to stay more steady and steady in a well-being state, steady and feeling better. So the tea and the pre-meal drink that I'm talking about right now are found in my profile. What I want you guys to understand is, so we've talked about how the pre-meal drink can reduce a blood sugar spike by 40%. We've talked about how this can increase GLP-1 by 70%. But do you know, they did a short study on this. They gave people who didn't have the tea before, this specific tea, not any other form of it, but this specific tea, because it's highly concentrated, and I'll get to that in a minute. They gave them a wellness score. So they gave them a little quiz, like, how do you feel? You had anxiety, depression, all that stuff on it. 30 days, these people drank one of the tea a day, and their wellness score, how good they felt, how well they were able to manage their emotions, increased by 70%. By 70%, by adding in a tea that's giving you nutritional support, thereby giving you emotional support. So just go to my profile link and check it out there. That's where you're going to find the tea and the pre-meal drink. Again, it's 2 tea that I drink in a day, because this isn't like medications. I keep forgetting to put it on do not disturb, and then I keep forgetting to take it off of do not disturb. Okay, so it's not like medications that you have to take at a prescribed time. If I wake up at 10 in the morning, I drink my tea when I wake up. If I wake up at 6 in the morning, I drink my tea when I wake up. I drink my tea. I sip on it all day while I'm doing furniture flips, while I'm doing all the other stuff that I do. I just sip on my tea. I don't have to worry, oop, did I have too much today? I've had 5 to 6 tea in a day, depending on my activity level. And it actually just is giving me more and more vitamins, minerals, and the good stuff that my body needs. We'll talk a little bit more about the tea and the pre-meal drink when I'm all done with everything, but know that the tea is helping in those ways. Okay. So it's giving you physical energy, and it can increase your energy by 10 to 15%. Athletes, think about that. Energy, stamina, physical performance by 10 to 15%. As a former world champion athlete, I wish I would have known about these products then. They're food, but they're formulated in a way that allows your body to get the best use of that food, which is not like most of the food we get today. Okay. So the pre-meal drink, the second component of this, and I feel like everybody skips on the pre-meal drink now. And you guys, it's one of my favorite pieces. I love the tea, but the pre-meal drink, for me, understanding that my gut health directly impacts my mental health, directly impacts so many other things in my body. I really, really am more cognizant of taking care of my gut. So I'll drink the pre-meal drink even if I'm not eating. I'll drink the pre-meal drink at least twice a day to make sure I'm supporting good gut microbiome. But here's what's happening. It's slowing down a blood sugar spike by slowing down how much blood sugar can get into your bloodstream at any given time. So you're just going to go to Radhika. You're going to go to my profile. Just tap on my picture up above. A white box will come up below. TikTok gets a little complicated. Tap on the white box. It's going to take you to my profile. right under my profile picture, you're going to see a link. Click on that link and you'll get to all the information you need. And if you have questions, just DM me because I would love to answer them for you. Okay. And if you can't find it, just DM me and I will send you a direct link. Okay. So I am authorized by the company to do this, and that means you're getting it directly from the company. I'm not housing and storing and forgetting to ship stuff or whatever. If you guys use a link, it works anywhere in the world where you may be. It's based on your IP address. So even if you're not in the US, if you're in Canada, if you're in the UK, if you're in Australia, New Zealand, I don't see my New Zealand people on here today, you're still going to be able to get it because we have distribution centers in 50 areas around the world. We operate in over 60 countries around the world. So you're getting the same great products, and they're authorized by your government for us to be able to give them to you at this grade. Okay. So use that link. That's what's going to make sure you're getting the right product. Okay. So I want to talk about, we're going to finish about the pre-meal drink. Okay. So preventing those rapid rises of blood sugar because it's slowing down how much blood sugar hits the bloodstream. That's slowing down that rise and fall. That I think of it like throwing you against the wall and dropping you to the floor. That's kind of what it feels like. So that slows that down. So you have more steady blood sugar, which means you have more steady energy overall. And then that creates even more emotional foundation for you to have steady emotions, allowing you to manage your mood much easier. So you're not getting angry one minute and then happy the next, and you're laughing 1 second and something triggers you and you're crying the next. That all starts to level out when you start to get this blood sugar control going on, supported by all the other things in these two products that are naturally occurring. Okay. So it's giving you greater control of your mood, and you're better able to experience that sense of well-being throughout the day. So this analogy, we're talking about mood swings and insulin resistance in this moment. So this analogy, think about this, you guys. Think of your body like a boat in the ocean. When the water is calm, right? When the water's just smooth like glass, the boat rides along pretty easily. No problems. Maybe not a lot of seasickness, none of that going on, right? But when you start to add in waves, your blood sugar fluctuations, okay, those waves in the ocean are your blood sugar fluctuations, then you start crashing. The boat's getting tossed all over the place. It's hard to stay steady. You can't, you're just hanging on for dear life, and you can't seem to, keep your feet under you or your brain in the right place. Okay. So by using the tea that helps calm the waters and the pre-meal drink that keeps your boat on an even keel, you create a smoother ride. So less turbulence, more control, letting you stay emotionally balanced and calm. And I think that's the key. So now we're starting to address root causes. We're starting to address things that are really going to make change and not just mask problems. Okay. So let's talk about the two that you guys, I'm going to be really honest with you. Before I dive into this again, I want you to remember, I'm not a mental health professional. I'm not a doctor. I'm a real world woman who loves to do research and get answers. I love to find out if and why insulin resistance affects things. So we're going to dive into bipolar and schizophrenia. Now, for a couple of years now, since I learned about insulin resistance, I've had an inkling that insulin resistance, hey Red, insulin resistance was a big driver in bipolar. I never really thought about schizophrenia. Why I thought about bipolar, I dated somebody who had bipolar. That was a crazy existence. I have a family member who has a family member who suffers heavily with bipolar. So I'm always worried that they're going to fall into that bipolar trap as well. So I'm always really cognizant of their emotions. So knowing what I know about insulin resistance and energy and your brain's ability to use energy and to create neurohormones and all of that stuff, I've always wondered. So here's what I found out about bipolar, and then we'll go into schizophrenia. Okay. Hey, Red. So bipolar disorder brings about extreme mood swings. We just talked about Alzheimer's. We talked about mood swings. Now this with bipolar, it's gotten even worse. So now it's not just in the moment, it's periods of high intense highs and devastating lows. So somebody with bipolar can have days or weeks or maybe even a month where they're just like overly productive and super happy about everything in the world is great, and they're on fire and they're going to chew up the world and they're just going to do everything possible. And then the next minute, seemingly without warning, they can't get up off the couch. They're depressed. Nothing looks good. Nobody likes them. It's like I may as well go eat some worms kind of thing. Is it their problem? It is their problem, but is it their fault? No. So let's take a look at how bipolar is linked to insulin resistance, because it's important. So if you have anybody with these two disorders, understand that you can help them with the symptoms from it. Okay. I'm not going to tell you you're going to cure their bipolar. I am not making that claim. I'm not telling you to not follow your mental health professional's advice. What I'm telling you is that if you want to find additional support in how you can better manage the disorder, let's take a look at that. Okay. So while the connection between insulin resistance and bipolar order is still being researched, there's growing evidence that insulin resistance can influence the severity of those mood fluctuations, right? We just talked about mood swings in that. So you can understand a little bit how that could influence bipolar, right? So the imbalance in blood sugar levels, like we just talked about, may aggravate the emotional ups and downs that those people with bipolar disorder experience, making the condition harder to manage. So it's not that I'm telling you you're going to cure it. I'm telling you we're just calming it down. Okay? We're reducing the outside influences that are causing it to be worse. And that's where insulin resistance plays a role. So here's with the science with it. The studies suggest that insulin resistance and metabolic dysfunction may play a role in the development or progression of bipolar by affecting brain function and neurotransmitter systems. We've talked a lot about that today. I talked a lot about it last week. So these metabolic disorders, metabolism has everything to do with insulin. So these metabolic disorders can impair the way the brain regulates your mood, leading to more intense or manic or depressive episodes. So that insulin resistance being out of control is probably making things much worse in a person who's already disposed to bipolar. Okay, let's be clear about that. Now, the insulin resistance is affecting the brain's ability to function optimally and may be contributing to the severity of those mood shifts with bipolar. So, potential for the system to help even with bipolar, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, remember we're talking about the tea and the pre-meal drink. And directly, indirectly, this is how it affects the insulin resistance part linked to bipolar. So the T, remember, is stabilizing your blood sugar, improving insulin sensitivity, improving neurotransmitters, improving mood, and regulating those blood sugar highs and lows. Now somebody with bipolar isn't thrown around so heavily into manic and depressive states when their blood sugars are more under control. So when your blood sugar is balanced, your neurotransmitter systems are better able to stay in harmony, less likely to trigger those extremes, okay? Those intense mood fluctuations. And that means you have better control over emotional highs and lows. And that means you have better help managing manic or depressive episodes with more ease. The T is helping by doing the blood sugar control part, by helping insulin be more responsive in the brain. Okay. Now we add in those things that I love to talk about: chlorogenic acids, theobromine, mate saponins. The T now with those, it's not only supporting your mood, but it's enhancing your mental clarity and overall well-being. And so less triggers, less severity of manic depressive episodes. But then we look at the pre-meal drink. So it's again helping slow down the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream. Those sugars are causing those highs and lows that are setting off the manic depressive states in bipolar, as science is starting to uncover now. Okay, so by stabilizing your blood sugar levels, it helps reduce the internal fluctuations that contribute to those high and low mood swings, and that promotes a more balanced emotional state. Now, the pre-meal drink also gives you a ton of fibers, really specific to your metabolism, and that improved metabolic state, improved gut microbiome helps someone with bipolar or can help them feel more emotionally steady and in control as they navigate the ups and downs of their day. Now, that's on a high level. We just talked about mood swings, and we've already shown how that can help mood swings. Wouldn't it make sense that if bipolar is just an extreme form and a more heavy form, not just, I don't want to diminish that, but it's an extreme form of those mood swings. And we've already covered how insulin resistance is causing mood swings through blood sugar dysregulation. We now can understand how it's possible for us to get the blood sugars under control and reduce the symptoms that happen with bipolar. Okay, so that, I think it's important. If you know anyone, it's worth a shot. Again, it has a 90-day money-back guarantee. Why not try something that's more natural, that's building gut microbiome, that's giving you vitamins and minerals and all the other support you need? It's not going to hurt anything, okay? So let's give an analogy with this one, because we're about to dive into schizophrenia, and that one's tough. But I want you to think about a person's body with bipolar like a musical instrument, okay? So when the strings or your blood sugar metabolism are out of tune, the music or your moods are dissonant, with highs that are too sharp and lows that are too flat. But when you tune the strings by giving yourself nutritional support, like the tea to stabilize and the pre-meal drink to smooth out the fluctuations. Remember, the tea is helping you utilize sugar better. The tea is the pre-meal drink is helping the delivery of that sugar. So tea is stabilizing, pre-meal drink is smoothing out the fluctuations. Now the music flows more harmoniously, and that's creating a more balanced emotional rhythm. Okay. Everybody clear so far? This is intense, you guys. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for this today. Whew, this is a big talk. Okay, so let's dive into the last one, because tomorrow we are going to go over attention deficit disorder, ADHD. We're going to go over sleep disorders, chronic fatigue, autism, eating disorders, and post-traumatic stress. I'll go over all of those 6 of this 12 tomorrow. We're going to link into how insulin resistance is making all of them worse. But let's first talk about schizophrenia. Okay, this is one I've never really talked about. I was shocked to see it come up on my list in my research. So here we go. Okay, this is the first time I'll be talking about it. You guys bear with me. So for individuals, by the way, I had a very close family member who, when I was developing teen and young adult, was said to have some paranoid schizophrenia. I also worked with some people with paranoid schizophrenia in one of the jobs that I did before I started doing this. So I'm very well aware of how schizophrenia looks. And now it's amazing to me to understand how insulin resistance is playing a role in schizophrenia even. So let's take a look at that. With individuals with schizophrenia, managing symptoms can be even more challenging when they have insulin resistance. So insulin resistance is common. Would you be surprised to know that insulin resistance is common in people with schizophrenia? How many of you guys knew that? How many of you guys have ever been talked to about that? I don't think I'd ever heard that before. Okay, so it's very common in people with schizophrenia. Now, that means that many of the antipsychotic medications used to treat the condition. Remember, I don't know if you might not remember, but the other day I talked about a number of medications that can actually make insulin resistance worse. Schizophrenia meds are one of the ones that can actually make insulin resistance worse. Okay. So now we have a problem that's already highly linked to insulin resistance and a solution that's making more of the insulin resistance, and that's exacerbating this disorder, according to science. Okay, so again, this is new for me. So what's happening there is it's creating a vicious cycle where both metabolic issues and medication side effects can worsen the symptoms to related mood and cognitive function, making schizophrenia feel worse. So the science behind it. Evidence suggests that insulin resistance may play a significant role in cognitive decline. We've already talked about that. But now we link that to schizophrenia. Now we understand that that significant role in cognitive decline with schizophrenia is making things worse. So insulin resistance impairs brain function, making it even harder to manage cognitive and emotional aspects of this condition. So the side effects of antipsychotic medications making insulin resistance worse, such as weight gain changes in metabolism, can further make insulin resistance deepen. The more fat you have, the more inflammation your body's creating, and the more your insulin resistance is going up as well. So, do you know that schizophrenic meds can actually make you gain weight? And through a number of factors, that's creating more insulin resistance. Now, let's stop. I'm not telling anyone to stop taking the meds. I'm not. But I want you to understand that getting your insulin under control, especially when you have this onslaught happening in you, is one of the tools you can have to start feeling better with those disorders like schizophrenia. Okay. So if you can manage your insulin resistance, it can lessen the effects of it. And that helps you manage your mental health and your metabolic health by getting insulin under control. And then instead of having this negative loop, you start to level out a little bit as much as you can. All right. So I'm talking about the protocol. Now you're going to be like, okay, Misha, now how are you going to tell me this protocol is going to help with that? Again, I want to be careful and say, I'm not telling you that it's going to cure schizophrenia. Can it help with symptoms? This is how it can help. Okay. The tea does more than just stabilizing your blood sugar. It's more than helping you become more insulin sensitive. It supports your brain's ability to function at its best. Now, by improving insulin sensitivity, the tea helps the brain receive the insulin it needs to support cognitive function. And when blood sugar is stable, those neurotransmitter systems are more likely to stay balanced, reducing the cognitive fog and mood swings often associated with schizophrenia. You see how we've been building into this? We've talked about depression, anxiety, Alzheimer's, mood swings, all of that. And we've kind of laid this path. Now we're here at schizophrenia. Now we have this path that we hopefully understand that mood swings, all of this are leading in. And getting insulin under control is how we can have another piece in our toolkit to help with schizophrenia. Okay, get the blood sugars down, get the insulin more receptive in the body. The brain will start to function better and have less of these mood disorders, and especially with like the paranoia that can come with some schizophrenia. Okay, so that the tea is also, I want to say one thing I haven't said yet today. I talk a lot about chlorogenic acids, and maybe I'll do a talk just on chlorogenic acids later this week. Chlorogenic acids are one component that can actually cross the blood-brain barrier. Remember I said there's not a difference between here, and yet there is. So we have this thing called the blood-brain barrier. It happens in the endothelium, the innermost cells of our blood vessels. And what that is doing is it's filtering out what can get to the brain. So it's trying to lessen any toxins that can get to the brain. Chlorogenic acids are one of the components that can actually cross that barrier and get to the brain. And that's giving the brain support and helping those neurological functions and helping the energy get there. There's 375 times more chlorogenic acids in this tea than any standard yerba mate tea. That's important, especially when we start to look at these last disorders that I'm talking about today. It's huge. So it's not only helping stabilize your blood sugar, it's helping support your mental clarity. That chlorogenic acid is doing a great job there, but now it's changing your GLP-1, increasing your own natural GLP-1 levels, which, by the way, most of us are having problems increasing. And that GLP-1, remember, can help your brain function as well naturally. It's one of the cues your brain has to function with more clarity. GLP-1 increased in your body is giving you that mental clarity and stabilization, and that's part of how this works. So we're not giving you something that's meant to change your body. We're giving you stuff that's meant to support your body and your brain along the way. Okay, so the pre-meal drink, how does it play in? Because this is a synergistic system. And overall, what we're doing is addressing insulin resistance. And the insulin resistance is then addressing these other things. But how is the pre-meal drink affecting this? Remember, it's supporting your blood sugar regulation, removing those highs and lows. It's feeding your gut microbiome, less inflammation, okay? And all of that impacts your mood and cognitive function. It also helps lower that internal inflammation, right? Less inflammation in the gut means less inflammation throughout the body, less inflammation in the brain. That inflammation can contribute to cognitive decline and exacerbate the effects of antipsychotic meds. So, inflammation can be working against those antipsychotic meds. If you're needing them, fine, but understand that even in that state, you need to give your body the support to be able to best utilize those medications. You want to give your body the best chance it can to get the most out of those meds if you have to be taking them. Okay. And so the pre-meal drink is helping your metabolic health, which is promoting more stable mood and enhancing cognitive clarity, giving you more control over your symptoms of daily life. Now, again, that's doing it because it's helping your gut stabilize and your blood sugar stabilize. It's not meant as a mental health tool, it's meant as an insulin resistance tool. And that means addressing the insulin resistance again can help with some of these other symptoms. So let's take a look at one more analogy. I want you to think about schizophrenia with insulin resistance, like trying to go drive a car. This analogy cracked me up. I'm trying to drive a car on a bumpy road. So when your road, your blood sugar and your metabolism is unstable, it's hard to maintain a smooth and steady drive. But when you use the tea to stabilize your blood sugar and the pre-meal drink to regulate your flow of blood sugar, it's like smoothing out the road. It's like I come from the country, so it's like taking a dirt road with all the potholes and whatever, and taking a big grader and coming along that road and smoothing it back out, so now you can drive around it without having the bumps and stuff that make you hit the head on the top of the car. If you've never been on a bumpy country road, give it a try. Before and after. That's what the tea and the pre-meal drink are doing, is they're smoothing out that road so your ride is smoother. Your mental health, your mental clarity, your emotional state is smoother. Okay. So your journey becomes less bumpy, allowing you to move forward with more control, mental clarity, and emotional stability. Okay. I'm going to end this one with that today because this is it's a lot to talk about, you guys. And no, I'm not going into huge depth with all of this, but I just really want to connect the dots for you so you can understand that this protocol is not just about diabetes. And diabetes is not just about diabetes. There are so many things that come down road from diabetes and insulin resistance that we're not paying attention to, and yet we need to if we really want to have a chance in hell of having a good, stable life. Okay? Understand that. So this is more, to me, this is more than, oh, a weight loss thing, or oh, just get my blood sugars under control. This is about the entirety of my life and of other people's lives. And I talk about it because I started this protocol that I talk about 4 years ago. My blood sugars were out of control. My blood pressure was out of control. I ended up losing a gallbladder because of it. My liver was suffering. My hair was falling out. My teeth and gums were constantly bleeding. My eyesight was failing. And my health was just crumbling under me. And not one professional that I went to was able to help me or understood how to address all of it. And when I started the system, I didn't know that it was going to make all of these changes in my life. I just knew that I needed to address my diabetes and my weight. As a result, within the first 90 days, my mental clarity came back. Those symptoms of Alzheimer's started to go away. My mood started to get better. My depression lifted. My ADHD got better. My autism is better controlled. My PTSD isn't as drastic as it was. I still have weird nightmares from time to time. I wouldn't call them nightmares, but dreams. I don't really have nightmares anymore. All of that because I addressed my blood sugars and my insulin levels. It's crazy, you guys. And I think everybody should know how important this is and why this one protocol is the one thing that I do in my life without fail. It's the one thing I do regardless of what anything else that's going on. It's that important. So, all right, you guys, thanks for hanging out with me. But before I go, I want to talk about this piece. I'm building a team because I can't do this alone of people who want to help other people. Now, Some of you may be like, yeah, but Misha, I can't talk about all the stuff you talk about. You don't need to. That's just my gig. It's just the way I like to do it. I have people like Cindy was in here earlier. Jason was in here earlier. I have Wendy. Stephanie's not really active anymore, but I have a number of other people who really just share their lifestyle and how good it's been for them. And they're building successful businesses, helping other people, just sharing their stories. So don't think you have to talk about the science and all the stuff that I talk about, but I'm certainly here to support you if you have those questions. But I need to build a team because I want more and more people around the world to understand this one root cause of what's happening to us. Now, on the business side, so I talk a lot about how the products helped my health. On the business side, what happened was I, in my 50s, being divorced and having raised kids all by myself, was financially depleted. And I ended up living on a twin size mattress in a hallway. And I was like, how in the hell at 56 years old did I end up here? And inflation was starting to happen, prices were starting to rise, and I couldn't keep up. So when this worked for me and I was offered the opportunity, um, great to see Patricia back. And don't the police look, Kimberly says, Maria, not quite sure what that's coming from. Okay, so the business just helped me get control of the rest of my life. Now, I have a grandson who's disabled. Most kids with his disorder are gone by the age of 5. He's 8.5, but we're seeing a lot of issues with him. But it allows me to spend time with him. I just saw a video that I did a few weeks ago when he was having some emotional discomfort. Of course he does. His body doesn't work like other kids. He's going through a lot of stuff, and he just has days where he just melts down. And guess what? The only thing he wants on those days is his Nana. And if I was still working 2 jobs, working in a medical system and working with disabled people in the other hours, I wouldn't have the time to give to him that he needs. So for me, the business has done so much more than just line my pocket. It's given me a way to help people with the things I suffered with and a way to be more present for my family. And it's changed everything for me. So if you guys are interested in that kind of change, because I used to be in that system where I believed, and here's the thing, everybody's where they are. Everybody gets to make their choices and everybody gets to operate with their income and their life how they want to. And I totally believe that. But I was stuck in the what I call a job model where I would go to work, I would get paid for those hours, and then I would have to go to another job and get paid for those hours because I'm a single grandma trying to deal with inflation. And then when I kind of broke free from that reality and started to realize that my worth is so much more and I can help people in a real way and actually increase my income without having to take on a second job, a third job, and do all of that and be less present with my family, it changed everything for me. And I want that to change for a lot of people too. So get your health in order first. If you're interested in the product, let me know about that. I'm never pushy about any of this. But then if you're curious to know how you can either supplement or replace your income doing something as simple as helping people get their health back, please reach out to me. I have systems and tools all set up for you guys to just jump in and go. And I really want to reach more people in the world. And this is one of the ways we can do it. So reach out to me, let me know. We will be doing a business overview talk on Thursday night. And so if you want the link to that Zoom call where we talk about the business and what changes it's making in people's lives, message me, DM me, and I will get you that message out. So until then, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the other mental health disorders and help you understand why this protocol is so important. By the way, that's the other thing with this business. I know that 99% of us have, on science, have a metabolic or not a metabolic, but an insulin disorder. 93% of us actually fall into a cardiometabolic disorder. That means there's a lot of people who need help and who need help understanding why we've ended up here in the first place. So join me either way. Let's talk tomorrow. We'll go over the other 6 mental health disorders related to insulin resistance. You guys have a great day, and thanks for spending time with me. We'll see you tomorrow.